So many employers are looking at new and innovative ways of doing interviews, and with the increase of video, many are taking to video interviews as like a preliminary step or a first stage to meeting the candidates. And this is especially helpful or convenient for overseas positions. It's also becoming a lot more popular for employers to interview the candidates outside of the office, for instance over lunch. So it's not your conventional sit down face-to-face office interview, and I think this requires a lot more prep than your conventional interview. There's a lot more that you need to bear in mind, especially your dining skills and etiquette, because they're observing everything. So I've compiled a list of do's and don'ts, some of my top tips and advice should you ever find yourself in this situation, and how best for you to prepare for it, because I've personally had both video and lunch interview. So I'm just going to shed some light on what I think you should do if you stick around. Hi guys, it's Antoinette the Confident Woman, and welcome back to my channel, your one-stop source for confident living. Now, if you haven't subscribed, click that button below if you like the content, and feel free to share it with other people, especially if you think that they'll find it useful. Now, in preparing for a video interview, I think you need to do exactly the same thing you would do for a normal face-to-face office sit-down interview. So here are some of my favorite tips that I think will help you. Dress to impress. So just because you're having this interview at home behind a screen doesn't mean that you should tone down your dressing. You still need to dress up as though you were going to a face-to-face interview, especially if it's like a corporate job. You need to be smart. Don't cheat as well. Don't dress your top half and forget your bottom half, or stay in your pajamas for your bottom half, because there's the likelihood that you can forget that you're not wearing your full suit or full outfit and then stand up if for any reason you have to stand up, or they ask you to stand up, whatever it is, and you're not fully dressed. That could be an awkward situation, and I don't know if many employers will find the humor in it. So just prepare yourself, dress like you were going to a normal interview, and I think it will also help your psyche as well. In addition, avoid wearing busy prints or outfits that have patterns on it. I suggest a plain outfit, and a lot of people recommend not wearing white because of how it comes up on camera. I don't think that's too much of an issue, but I would suggest, or I would strongly advise you to stay away from distracting busy outfits or outfits with too much pattern and all of that going on. Just keep it simple. And ladies, you might want to blot your face with some translucent powder. In fact, men as well, because your sweat comes up a lot more, or is a lot more visible on camera than it is in your actual face-to-face encounter. Plus the fact that you might be nervous because it's an interview. So you just don't take that risk. Blot it down with some translucent powder. It will make you look a lot better on camera. And just like I mentioned in my previous interview tips video, your body language is still very important, especially your eye contact. It's paramount. So if you've got notes, and that's the luxury of having a video interview, you can have notes with you. Try and avoid looking down a lot at your notes all the time. Try and look directly at the camera, not necessarily the screen, but the camera. You might have a webcam. If it's not a webcam, if it's the camera on your screen, look into the camera and not the screen, so you're making good eye contact even though it's a video interview. And don't forget to turn your phone off. Turn it on silent. If you can't turn it off, take the vibrate off, because this can be really distracting for both you and the interviewer should your phone go off or people messaging you. So remember, just because you're in the comfort of your home doesn't mean that you stop doing what you would do in a typical interview. And try and stay in a quiet spot. If you're living with other people, this is the time for you to give them that heads up that they need to be quiet. You also want to prevent a situation like this from happening. Remember to turn your TV off, your radio, whatever might distract you, whatever might be in the background, get rid of it, eliminate it. And if you're sitting somewhere, try and make sure that your background is plain, so there's nothing distracting on the back that they might be looking at instead of concentrating on you or what you have to say. Also remember to sit at a desk if you can. Don't sit on your bed, or don't have your bed in the background. Avoid all of these things that can pose as a distraction or look unprofessional. You still need to carry that professional tone with you. regardless of where your interview is taking place. Another tip is for you to always have water to hand for you to drink at any point, because you can get thirsty or dehydrated. You know how it is, situations in interviews that you just need some water. So just have that to hand. And like I said before, have your notes there, have your CV as well as a point of reference. Should they mention something, you can quickly glance at it, but remember to still keep your eye contact as much as possible. I also think it's important that you do a test run of your video interview beforehand and watch yourself back. Look at what you're doing, especially your body language. Analyze it yourself. You can analyze it with other people, get their feedback, and look at what you're saying, especially with your face. And this will help you. It will help you calm your nerves, and it will help you improve before the actual video interviews. And finally, and I think this is one of the most important things to do, is to actually test your Wi-Fi or broadband, whatever it is that you're using, to make sure that the call can actually come through, whatever format it's over. If it's Skype, do a test with someone else beforehand. Make sure everything is working. There's nothing worse than having the interview date come up and then you can't do it because there's something not working or something not going right. So just do a trial with your mate or something like that. Run through it and make sure everything's set beforehand. And some other pointers, try and get natural lighting as much as possible, like sit close to a window facing it if you can. Have a good mic, make sure that your mic is in check if you're using a mic separate from your webcam. All of that, just the little bits and pieces that you might not readily think about, just make sure you run through everything. Okay, so I'm quickly going to touch on out of office interviews that are not face-to-face. So for instance, lunch interviews, like I mentioned before, these are as critical as your face-to-face interview, if not more. And you need to, if you don't have etiquette skills, especially dining skills, you need to brush up on it. You need to enroll in a course, get up to date with what you need to do, because that's why they're doing that interview in that setting. They're watching you. A lot of people, a lot of companies that do this, it's because the role that you're applying for, you might have to represent them all over the world, for instance. So they want to see how you're interacting outside of the office and if you've got the necessary skills required to present that company properly. So it's not going to cost you that much to get enrolled to an etiquette course, especially dining skills. And if you want me to do a video on that, I will definitely do it. Just let me know below in the comments box and I'll do a video on that. But it's crucial for you to know what kind of setting you're going to and what's required beforehand, so you're not nervous and you're not fumbling and you're not doing the wrong thing, because they are observing everything and that could be the difference between you getting the job or not. So basically, they just want to see your social interaction, how you're interacting with clients outside of the office. So if you don't have those skills, get in them. They're so vitally important today. A number of people don't believe that they need it or they underestimate its value, but I don't think you can ever do without having basic etiquette skills. So, and don't forget stuff like opening, closing the doors, your pleases and thank yous. It's amazing how these things skip your mind when you're in a setting of an interview. You kind of like, you're concentrating so much on the interview that you forget the necessary little things to do. And be very cautious. When you're in this type of interview, avoid drinking any form of alcohol. Even if they offer it to you, don't take it. Don't take it. Don't ask for it, don't request it, and if they offer it, don't take it. Just avoid all form of alcohol and stick to your beverage, your non-alcoholic beverage or water. Don't get flustered if the waiter comes to you with a bill, because they're not expecting you to pay for it. If they've invited you out for this lunch interview, the bill is on them, the tab is on them. So don't worry about that. And finally, very important, don't forget to say thank you to them after the interview. Regardless of how you feel the interview went, you must always say thank you. You must always send in your thank you note, your email, whatever it is. Make sure that you show gratitude for not only the interview, for the fact that they've paid for your meal. Okay guys, so I'm going to leave it there for now. I just hope that these basic tips helped you. And like I said before, if you want a further in-depth video on what to do in the situation, especially dining skills, etiquette wise, just let me know, hit me up and I'll do a separate video for that. And remember that it's one step at a time to becoming confident. You just learn bit by bit. So like I said before at the beginning, if you haven't subscribed, feel free to hit that button and share the video with other people. And if you have any other suggestions, please share them. In this community, we like to learn from everyone so we can grow and we can better ourselves. I always say this, sharing is caring. Anyway, until next time, until my next video, I will see you later.